Is it time to give up fireworks? I know so many people are gonna click on this video and they're gonna hate me for this topic and this title, and honestly I sort of hate me too. I don't want to talk about this either because I have such like an emotional connection to fireworks. When I was growing up, my dad used to set off the fireworks at our local pub, and it was this huge big community thing, and I remember just like, even from when I was so tiny and all the other kids were crying, just being mesmerized by them. I loved them so much. And then when I was 18, I got to put on my little high vis and set them off with him. And that's just like a really, really special memory. However, there are massive ethical and eco downsides to fireworks. And I think there's more and more videos coming out and we can't deny it. And I think we have to assess if our enjoyment is worth all the suffering and damage that it creates. So the first one is there are people with lots of different conditions that make fireworks terrifying and just horrific to live with. So there's people with PTSD. I've been seeing videos of children with autism, and yeah, it seems like a really bad time for them. And I don't know if it's always been this way, but I live in the UK and on the 5th of November we have bonfire night. Don't ask me why, it doesn't make a ton of sense. Somebody tried to blow up Parliament, got stopped, and then every year we put a little fake version of him on top of a bonfire and set off loads of fireworks. No one really cares about Guy Fawkes, we're there for the community and the drinking. And it's just a really nice night and you just sort of, the story's kind of meaningless, you just bypass it. Anyway, I think one of the big issues is that it's not just bonfire night and it's not just between 8 and 9 o'clock or whatever. It is all week long, every single evening, constant, from the moment it's dark to, I don't know, 11, 12 p.m, relentless. And I think if you have a child with autism or PTSD or hearing condition or anything that makes it stressful, you have nowhere to go. If you live in a residential area, people are setting them off in their gardens, they're in parks, they are everywhere. You can't get away from them. So that's number one, big ethical issue. Number two is wildlife and pets. So there's so many videos coming out of dogs and they are freaking out. They cannot cope with it. And again, it's not just like for 1 hour, it is constant. For an entire week, they are freaking out. I've seen really horrible videos of a puppy who died of a heart attack. There are horses panicking. A lot of dogs will escape from the gardens and run across roads and be hit. And also wildlife. Shelters see the day after fireworks, massive amounts of hedgehogs and foxes and all sorts of creatures are brought in because they've panicked and they've ran across a road or they've had a heart attack, or deers run out in front of cars. Some mammals will panic and run into ponds, or birds will fly into windows. Hedgehogs have been burnt alive in bonfires and so many things like that. And there are ways to get around the hedgehogs in the bonfires. You can build it on the day, you can light it from one side, and you can use a heat detector, a heat scanner. What is that called? A heat camera? A thermal imaging camera? Anyway, you can use one of those to look for hedgehogs. So bonfires aren't like my biggest issue. My biggest issue is the fireworks. Next issue is the air pollution, and that's really bad for us and the planet. So there was a study done in 2010, and they found that the quality of air after Guy Fawkes Night and Diwali concluded that the 24 hours after both events, the levels of harmful particulate matter in the air was significantly higher than regulatory limits. They also found that these particles associated with fireworks were much more toxic than vehicle-derived emissions. Basically, there are so many chemicals that go into making a firework, and there's also lots of toxic metals. These are literally exploding in the sky and raining back down on us. And we're then breathing it into our lungs, and children are breathing it into their lungs as well. It's also going into lakes and rivers, and then again, that's another way that it can harm wildlife. There's also the issue of like the entire process. So like to get the metals in the first place, we have to mine them. We then have to ship them to another country. We have to put them all together. We then have to ship them somewhere else. We then have to package them. And they arrive in this bundle of plastic and stuff. And also from when I was a kid, I remember when we used to set off the fireworks, there would just be debris everywhere, and it wasn't always cardboard. There was plastic debris, and there was no way that we could pick all of it up. So that would have just leached into the soil. Also, I didn't know this, I'm gonna link to all my research below, but a lot of fireworks aren't even vegan. They have stearic acid, which can be found in plants, but is most commonly derived from animals. And as far as anybody knows, nobody's advertising vegan-friendly fireworks, so there's no way of knowing, so you have to assume they're not vegan. How could I enjoy them now? Like, how could I watch them with the same magic, knowing that a child in one house could be freaking out and an adult in another could be breaking down, and a deer has just been hit by a car and a dog's just escaped and another dog is like crying and shaking, and I ruined it for myself. And I've ruined it for you too. However, this is not all doom and gloom. I am not giving up on the magic and the joy and the community aspect and all of that. I'm only giving up on the fireworks. And this is something that humans are really, really good at. If you take away something we enjoy, we will find a way to make a more ethical version so we can still enjoy it. So, a couple of options. I think the most likely alternative is going to be laser shows. I'm seeing more and more of them in the UK, and I think the more that we are aware of them and demanding them, the more there's going to be, the more they're going to develop. So right now, the alternatives of fireworks are only in their infancy. They're like these tiny little babies, and they have so much space to develop and get so much better. We can totally do this. There's also water mist shows. Sort of depends on if you already have a big fountainy lake thing, but if you do, they're also another really good option. And again, this is all stuff that's like only just beginning. It could get so much bigger and so much better. I have two ideas for this bonfire night that go in very separate paths. One of them is to have a little fire pit in the garden, which isn't perfect. Burning wood does still contribute to global warming and everything. But for one night, a little burning pit, get all wrapped up warm, have a bit of hot chocolate or maybe a bit of mulled wine, and sit outside all cozy with some candles and like some hot soup, very adult, very chilled out, like just having a nice time. Another option is to get drunk and make some like paper streamers and have them as sort of stand-in sparklers and just run around and go crazy with those. Or which one would it be? Yeah, we'll see. So that's another option. Some people have said sparklers, and sparklers are a little bit tricky. They aren't eco. They're basically a strip of metal with a whole load of chemicals on them. Because of all the chemicals, the metal can't be recycled, so you have to put it in a bucket of water and then you have to send it to landfill. It's sort of considered toxic waste. The other issue is that I've never seen them without the plastic. However, I have seen a lot of posts where people buy loads of them for their wedding, don't use all of them, and then put them up on Marketplace and Gumtree and all those secondhand places. So I wouldn't feel too bad about buying them secondhand, especially if it was a treat. And also just, I don't know, I wouldn't want to take away that magic from children. I'm not gonna go out and buy some sparklers just for my 26-year-old self. If you can't find any secondhand, I mean, I haven't scoured the entirety of the internet. There might be somewhere they sell them in just like a plain cardboard box. So that'd be pretty cool. Or one other option that I did see from someone is they, instead of going out to celebrate the fireworks, they will drive around and look for dogs that have escaped and take care of them for the night. And that could also be a really nice tradition. Like on these nights, maybe you could go for like a big family walk or a big family drive. And if you happen to see a dog, that's just a bonus, take them in. Or, you know, any wildlife that you could pick up and help. My favorite one! Oh, how could I have forgotten this? So I think in China, they have got these drones with little LED lights, and they've done like this synchronized dance and performance. Looks amazing. And all of this stuff is just beginning. Like can you imagine the shows that we could put on with drones in the future? Like, oh, it is kind of exciting. We can still do it, guys. We can still have a great bonfire night. It just means a little bit more techie, a little bit less scary. This is also pretty exciting because I feel like the conversation for ethical and eco alternatives to fireworks is only just beginning. I feel like we're only just starting with this level of awareness and people seeking out alternatives. So I would love to hear what you guys think. Is there anything I've missed out about the impact? I'm sure there is. Are there any alternatives that you guys have come up with, whether you've gone to a big organized thing like a laser show, or whether you've had some silly alternative that you've done at home instead? Let me know, I'd really want to hear about it. Let's keep the conversation going. Let's raise some awareness and keep it as a big positive thing. We're not here to have a go at people or be angry. We're here to just provide alternatives. And that's it. Thank you for watching. I'm sorry that this was a miserable one. Next week we'll be much happier, I swear. And thank you so much to everybody who's already subscribed. I'm so grateful. And yeah, that's it.